Welcome, grand evening, everyone, to the event we call Grow Your Mind. The third Thursday of each and every month, where we get together and we have some fun and we have guest speakers from the educational background sharing their stories about the world famous Tower Garden. You are going to hear some stories. You're going to see some amazing pictures and scenic just towers that are going to blow your mind. So again, we have a lot of fun here. We share a lot of love, and we just like to embrace you and welcome you to this event. And hopefully you've learned something and you want to come back, you want to learn some more. So we ask any guest on here to please get back with the person who invited you so that they can give you that information that you will need. Well, my name is Troy Richardson. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran, still serving my country in this capacity that we call Inspiring Healthy Living. I own a health and wellness organization I'm very proud of. And again, it's all about putting people first. And that's what we do here in this community. So without further ado, I want to introduce a phenomenal young lady that I'm just blessed to be able to call her my friend and my sister in this mission here. Welcome, Lori Weeks.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm really excited to share with you. And Troy, just as you said, once you come, you tend to come back again because we're just having so much fun. You know, there was a time in my life when my career was working with children. I spent almost 14 years as a private educator, math and reading, tutoring children. And I often think about what a difference having a Tower Garden would have made in my classroom. It gives such information and hands-on tools and gives a beautiful way just to introduce science and math. And, you know, once you know better, you can always do better. So I really love taking the opportunity right now to show towers to schools. I'm happy to say that we've gotten a Tower Garden in my nephew's school. And we've also introduced tower gardening into an assisted living care facility right in my neighborhood. I was introduced to whole food concentrates 3 years ago. When I found out that you could get a whole salad in a capsule in the form of a capsule or a gummy, wow, I knew that I was not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and neither was my family. And
We lost.
there, I'm back.
You're good.
Great. It made adding in whole food concentrates made a big difference and an impact on my entire family's health. You know, when I look back to 3 years ago, if I counted up how many prescriptions this family of 4 was on, we were nearing 12 prescriptions. But one, by adding in whole food concentrates and doing some other real good things like eliminating processed foods and refined sugar and adding in water and good night's rest, and also adding in good nutrition, one by one, we've been stepping away from those prescriptions. And I'm so happy to say that today, my husband and I are prescription free. And our 2 daughters who were on prescriptions, one for anxiety/depression, and the other one for asthma, they both only need 1 medication each. And that's only on a rescue or an as needed basis. So I'm excited to share with you the Tower Garden. When we found out the power of whole foods and eating cleanly grown, vine ripened produce, my husband and I, we jumped all over it. And so I'm really excited to show you what we've added into our backyard. You guys, the kitchen is right over my shoulder, so I'm just 10 steps away from the kitchen when I come outside and show you what we are growing here. I'm a novice gardener. I grew up right outside of Washington, D.C. And so I am thrilled that I've been able to just grow with such ease all of these fruits and vegetables. So this is the indoor Tower Garden. even though I have it in an outdoor space, you can see it's protected from the sun and elements. And so I do have the grow lights on here, and I do consider this an indoor space. But look at all of this celery that I'm growing here. The microgreen section gives you an opportunity to grow baby greens. So there's like dense nutrition in these little bit of leaves. And so all of this is filled with microgreen or baby green kale. And here we have some marigolds, and look at that. I almost ate it for lunch, but I realized I was talking tonight, so I left it there, and we're gonna eat that tomorrow. So this is our indoor tower garden. I can step back right here and let you have a view of the whole thing. What I love about it is you really just set it and forget it. This has produced enough greens and herbs for, more than enough for my family of 4 here. And then we have a little bit of growing right over here. And let me see. There we go. The sun has gone down, so I pulled out a floodlight here. Over here, this main tower here is, this is my main tower, okay? Kale, Swiss chard, parsley, spring onions, cabbage, every single day, spinach. We harvest from this tower every day, and you just harvest from it and it continues to grow back. We really haven't changed out many of these plants. Some of them you can tell, we just harvest the leaves around the edges and it just keeps growing back. I've had that Swiss chard in there for almost 2 years now. When I found out about the power of plants, I really just wanted to explore it a little bit further. And so I started growing some herbs specifically. I call this my healing tower. So I put in things like lemon balm and lavender and echinacea and chamomile, along with the regular traditional things like tarragon, cilantro, oregano, rosemary, thyme. I'm even growing a little bit of stevia right there because I wanted to just replace that and use that as a natural sugar. Did you know that these pansies are even edible? And I've even made my first pansy, dish just this week. And if I can get over here, I want you to take a look at these collards. These are collards even my grandmother would be just so proud of if she saw me growing these today. And then I just wanted to show you right here an empty tower. You guys, what this signifies to me is just the ultimate meal prep, meal plan, planning what we're going to be eating next week. So we have seedlings on the way. I'll be adding them into the tower, and you guys, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be harvesting off of that tower on the end. This is a lot of food in just a little bit of space. And I mentioned to you that I've had an opportunity to speak with an assisted living facility. And the fact that this could just fit on a deck really was just a wonderful opportunity for all of the residents in the home, because many of them had downsized from their home, but really wanted to continue gardening. And so this gave an opportunity for them to do so right on their deck. The story that I love best about my assisted living facility is that we have a couple of tower garden growers who are living there. And what they're doing is growing herbs, and they're bringing them to the kitchen. And the chef is really involved in just making this a community experience. So you guys, thanks so much for allowing me to show what I have going on here. And you guys continue to encourage me, and we're going to just keep presenting this so that more and more people can find out about it and really just fall in love with the ease and convenience of gardening.
Wow, Lori, just phenomenal. I remember the first time that I discovered the world of Lori Weeks in Jumanji down there in Georgia. I was amazed. I was just like, my God. And that inspired me to get my first 2 tower gardens. I think I might have seen you on the Hicks sisters maybe in April, And in June, I said, man, I'm getting my tower garden. So I went out and got my first two. And life has never been the same. It's like bringing a newborn baby or a new puppy into the house. Your life changes forever. This is the power of the tower. And Lori mentioned that she has enough on her towers to feed a family of four in abundance. They're not going to run out. So Henry's going to touch on the cost savings if people are wondering, how much does it cost? Is it worth it? Overwhelmingly, yes, it is absolutely worth it. But speaking of Henry, this next gentleman, my brother, Henry Lee, is going to, again, break it down for you in a way that you understand scientifically and the physiology of what these fresh produce, the effect it has on our body. So without any further ado, welcome Henry Lee.
All right. Troy, thank you so much for making this happen every single month on the third Thursday of the month. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys as well, so you can see what we're talking about exactly. But before I go into the presentation, I want to show you a quick video of one of our good friends, Dr. Stephen Ritz. He is this phenomenal educator, but more so just a life changer for all young students. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. All right. Give me a little thumbs up if you can see my screen.
Good to go.
Good.
Who wants to play? All right. You're it.
My name is Stephen Ritz, and I am CEO,
You hear
Chief
the volume?
Eternal
Okay.
Optimist of Bronx County.
We're gonna actually grow our own lunch. We're going to grow our own food today. We're gonna go from seed to plate.
A tower garden is like this plant, but you don't need soil. And then the water comes up, and then it comes down and rain on the roots.
Adults think you can't farm in the South Bronx. Tell it to these kids. They're farming.
For so many, food is the problem. Yet for all of us, food is a solution. We have some of the highest rates of juvenile diabetes and juvenile obesity in the nation, and we can change that. We absolutely have the power to change schools in this generation.
I think I still see the seed.
That happens, exactly.
You mean I can pass it around and they can see the seed
Absolutely.
in the plant?
My job is to teach kids how we can grow food, and I'm asking everyone to roll up their sleeves and get a little dirty and grow something greater.
He lets us plant stuff like salad, cucumbers, tomatoes.
My 4th and 5th graders came into a classroom with no windows to build a tower garden and literally turned it into a farm. And we talked about how healthy food builds healthy minds and healthy bodies, and where are we doing it? Right here in school.
So did everybody plant a seed?
The excitement and the joy that these little kids feel putting a seed in the ground and watching it blossom. OMG, as they say, this is their moment.
I think he cares about us a lot, and he wants us to learn and have fun at the same time.
I'm not a farmer, but I'm planting seeds.
He always says, like, seeds are like people because they need love, and they grow and grow and grow to be successful people.
To use 21st century technology to generate food and to create this beautiful thing to sit by that you can actually eat is game-changing. It's empowering. They're growing. The plants are growing, and they're responsible for it. And when they know they can grow their own, they really start changing the way they see their relationship to the world and their place in it.
Big one. You gonna eat it? Is it good? I love it. Thank you.
All right. So we love our teachers. I actually used to be a classroom teacher myself. So 14 years in the classroom teaching anatomy and physiology, environmental sciences, chemistries and biologies. And so you'll see some of these pictures represented there as well. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. Can you guys see my screen okay? Still good? All right. So today, obviously, you are here because someone invited you, either because you're in the education world or you have connections within the educational world. And just a reminder, this happens every third Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you are in the classroom, or if you remember back when you were a student, this might resonate with you. In fact, you might identify with one of these students here, maybe the one that's kind of bored or even pretending to fall asleep or actually asleep, disengaged and disconnected, daydreaming. But what if we could transform that classroom into something that looks like this? Unfortunately, most industries in the world today have had to pivot, and classrooms have had to pivot a ton because of the different challenges that we face. And so you can see one of the tower gardens in the back here. Our students in all ages are able to do hands-on, project-based, applicable learning that they can transfer, not just in the classroom to home, but into real-life situations. And we're going to share some of those real-life applications today. If you're in the world of education, one of your familiar buzzwords is probably project-based learning. And we emphasize this because it's not just a one and done, memorize it for Friday, the test, and then forget about it. These students, all the way from daycare through elementary, middle school, high school, and into college, they are learning all sorts of different things, from photosynthesis, from different parts of plants, through texture, into designing experiments, and really applying it to different things like sustainability. And so you might be asking, okay, what are some of the examples of lesson plans that we have available, or that we would be able to use this tool? And so this is just one example that we use in my high school environmental and biology classes, but we share with the kids that this is what farmland is supposed to look like. And I'm actually from Ohio. I'm in Hawaii right now, but in Ohio, this is a lush farm that you would pass by just driving down the highway. Unfortunately, instead of looking like this, a lot of times we end up seeing farmland that looks like this. And in terms of sustainability, if you know anything about farming, having to do crop turnovers, having to make sure you're allocating land in so you can use it properly instead of depleting the nutrients. And unfortunately, even if you do the crop rotations, then you end up with desertification. You can look at a map of a bird's eye view of the earth, and you can see what lands used to be in the like grassland or forest biomes. And unfortunately, those are turning into deserts quicker than we had expected. And so what if there was a way that instead of depleting the Earth's resources land-wise, that we could grow vertical? And this was a project back in the 90s and early 2000s that NASA was developing. So it uses NASA-grade technology. There was actually one of the inventors of Tower Gardens and who brought it to the public goes by the name of Tim Blank. Tim Blank moved from NASA into Disney World. And so if you've ever been to Epcot Center, then you have seen these Tower Gardens. Back in 2009 to 2012, they were in the land exhibit, and they still are. And if you go through that, you'll see all sorts of different hydroponic plant systems and aeroponic plant systems. The hydroponic is where the plants sit in water. So the roots are always being infused by water. And that also requires a bunch of different complex systems that deal with nitrogen cycles, fish, all sorts of different bacteria and such. Aeroponics is different in that this center console, there's a pump down at the bottom that pumps the water to the very top, and it trickles down in a cascade system over the roots just about once every 7-8 minutes. And that can be adjustable depending on what type of climate you live in. And so this is a typical example, you saw Lori's beautiful tower gardens. This is a 3-week growth from the point that you put the seedlings inside of the little chambers here. I'm going to show you a little video that demonstrates what that looks like. So you can actually see that in action. And that is right here. There's your week 1. Week 2, you can see that beautiful chard at the top, different peppers and cabbage and kale, different cilantro and parsley and such. And that is week 4. And so if you are able to follow the instructions in the manual or watch a YouTube video, then this is what you end up with. Very easy, turnkey, no experience required as far as gardening experience or tools or weeding. And so tons of benefits. This happens to be a 2-week time period. So you can see my Swiss chard at the very top. I ended up leaving a couple on the bottom empty so I can put some marigolds in there. Marigolds and nasturtium are natural plants that are edible, and they also deter aphids. So we definitely recommend putting some of those in your tower garden. And so look at how full these slots become in a matter of 2 weeks. And on this next page here, you'll see the different benefits. Not only does it grow 3 times as fast, but it gives you more yield, and it uses tons less water and less space because it grows vertical, and because the water is not lost in the ground, it just trickles over the roots. So yes, it is year round. We do have lights available that you can put on the top that are LEDs. They're practically indestructible, and they're safe for kids and for pets because they don't get warm. Again, it doesn't require any weeding or mulching because there is no soil. All the minerals are mined and they're pure. And so think about if you were to take soil and get rid of all the dirt, because at the end of the day, plants don't need the dirt. They need what's in the dirt, the nutrients. And so we strip away all the stuff that they don't need, throw it into the right concoction and the proportions of nitrogen and selenium and phosphorus in the form that they need, throw it into the basin, and that 20-gallon basin you see at the bottom will capture any of the nutrients and water that it misses in the first place. So it's completely clean, it's food grade plastic, and we're going to teach you how to save money using it as well. Fortunately, since you are educators, then you're able to have access to grants. If you work in a public school, then it's very easy to find those. If you're working from homeschooling or private, then we can certainly connect you with resources for those as well. Another issue that we're running into in schools, if you remember back, 10, 20, 30 years ago when you were in school, you probably remember these bagel bites that have the sausage that they actually used in the previous lunch the day before, or maybe 2 days, and they're recycling that on top of a bagel that was made from enriched wheat that's been bleached. And that applesauce that has a shelf life of probably 5 years is not fresh. And, you know, we still have this presence of dairy in school as well. But if we go a little healthier, right, we go a step up and we say, oh, well, maybe if you sprinkle a little bit of vegetables on that pizza, that greasy slice there, and there's probably not much nutrition in that little cup of maybe granola. So they oftentimes put like a little bit of iceberg lettuce into a little cup and just pretend like the kids eat it. But let's be honest, how many of those kids actually eat that plain lettuce? What if we could turn that cafeteria into something that looks like this using your tower gardens? And so, yes, you can grow your tomatoes, you can grow your all sorts of different types of greens. You can even throw peppers and different types of and herbs in there. And so you might be asking, okay, so what types of foods can you actually grow on there? Let's see here. That's right here. If you look on the left, I'm not going to read all of these, but you can easily see that you can place pretty much anything from baby greens all the way to large heads of lettuce, all the way to, on the right here, tomatoes and different flowering fruits, cucumbers and zucchinis. And in one slot, I think last summer, we ended up getting in one slot for zucchini, 26 zucchinis that looked like they were Godzilla zucchinis, because they get the right proportion of nutrients in there. Here's another 2 examples of these tower gardens. And because we are in the month of December, it's not too late to order some of these for a loved one or a friend for Christmas. And some of us decorate our tower gardens with lights and put a little star on top, and you can use it as a Christmas tree that's actually edible, it's practical, and it doesn't just last for December. You can use it all year. So I love these 2 examples because they show you some non-traditional things that you wouldn't be able to grow, especially here in Ohio weather where it's actually snowing right now. And so if you imagine growing chard and oregano and basil and beans and kale all 12 months of the year in your classroom, you figured you're going to start teaching the kids about whatever lessons, whether it's the differences between animals and plants or sustainability in August and September. By the time you end up starting to plant in an outdoor garden, then it's going to be too cold, and that that frost will end up killing those plants, especially if you're in a temperate zone and up. So this is a great tool because instead of having to wait until April and May to plant in your classroom, you can actually start from the very beginning of the year and utilize these tower gardens in your classroom for the entire school year. We get questions all the time about cost. And so if you take a look at the left column, one thing that we've done here is priced out the lowest produce cost that we were able to find in terms of arugula and beans and peppers and such. And these are conventional, which means they are not organic. So this is just your normal prices. If you were to plant these in your typical tower garden, you would find in a 6-month yield that this is the estimated value of arugula. This is the estimated value of peppers and cherry tomatoes and eggplants. And you can see, especially for those greens, like those leafy kales and lettuces, you get a lot of bang for your buck. And so a 6-month yield, if you were to add all these, is worth just about $800 worth of savings. And so definitely get in touch with the person who sent you this recording or invited you to watch today, because if you are applying for a grant, then we can actually help you with the verbiage for that. And for my classroom, we actually got 3 tower gardens completely paid by different grants. And the money that we earned from the kids taking and selling it to the teachers or farmers markets and such, they pour it back into the tower garden to buy more equipment, tomato cages, lights, and etc. You'll see that there are 2 different types of models. The one on the left here is our newest model that was just released about a year ago, called the Tower Garden Home System. The basin isn't as bulky. It's a 13-gallon instead of a 20-gallon in the regular flexible one. That's what we call the Tower Garden Flex. They can go indoors and outdoors. It also has built-in casters on the bottom, and so it's meant to be rolled around on a hard floor. You can put these outside, but we don't recommend putting them onto the grass or mulch because they do have the casters built in. They also include some sections for baby greens at the top, and you can see those fancy lights. Those are the LED blades that we were talking about before. On the right-hand side, the reason why this is called the Flex is because not only can you grow inside and outside, but you can also get additional stacks, and you can go all the way up to the ceiling. You can build this up 2 stories tall if you wanted. Like O'Hare Airport, they have 26 of these tower gardens that they share the produce amongst the 67 restaurants in O'Hare Airport. So the next time you're there flying through Chicago, stop by Terminal 2. And if you eat at Max and Irma's or at any of the restaurants and get a salad, chances are you'll probably eat some of the produce that they picked from our tower gardens. You can also put tomato cages on there. And so you can see there's a couple tomatoes that are hanging there, but if you get the cage, then you can keep on going up and up and up. So this is what that tower garden would look like if you were to get it in the mail. And your school may offer a PO. So if you're not familiar with the PO, that means that they will send you this without having to pay for it at first. You inventory it, then you send the payment back to Tower Gardens. And it includes all the nutrient blend that they have proprietary proportions and tested it. You get all the seedlings, or sorry, the seeds and all the equipment in order to start the seeds. And you even get a couple different solutions that are allow you to buffer the pH up or down in case your pH is a little bit low, below 7. We suggest that your pH is typically between 5.5 and 6.5, and that ranges depending on what type of plants that you are growing. It includes the pump, the timer, and everything. So like we said, it's turnkey. But if you're interested in sharing that tower garden with other classes, we have something called a science bundle, and that science bundle looks like this. It's also known as the family garden. And you saw Lori had a couple in her backyard. This is well enough to share amongst an entire elementary school if you wanted to roll that around. But if you wanted to get more, then you could get something called a community garden or even a tower garden farm. And some of these farms, you might be asking, wow, where is this? This picture happens to be in Mesa, Arizona. It's a suburb of Phoenix. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the produce that goes into Phoenix comes from our tower gardens. And so I'm going to show you a map of where you can find these tower gardens, because it's pretty impressive. Just seeing these little dots here in the US, those are the tower gardens that have more than 12 in one location. And I think that one right there, I'm gonna guess is, yep, that's O'Hare International Airport. You can see up in Alaska, especially when it's cold and icy, permafrost all year round, it's impossible to grow those greens, right? But with the power of tower gardens and this technology, then they are able to grow that out here in Hawaii. And actually, I thought I saw Wendy Liu or Lowe on the call earlier. I think she may have had to leave. She's actually the one who brought tower gardens to Hawaii here. And then they're also in Spain. You saw Dr. Stephen Ritz has taken them to Dubai in the middle of the desert, and it goes on and on. So tower gardens are not limited to just classrooms. We see that the kids are also learning how to take those out into the community. So this is a community recreation center where they're teaching the kids how to prepare food, the different textures, tastes, and even in meal prep. We call those salad in a jars. And imagine if food pantries didn't have a bunch of canned foods, but instead they provided fresh food. And this study, I love this, was conducted by Ohio State University and Cornell University. They found that kids that grow their own food are 5 times more likely to actually consume it compared to those who buy it from the grocery store. But the effect and the impact that you as a teacher has on your kids doesn't just stop in the classroom or even just taking it home. In fact, I showed you a slide earlier. I'm going to go up to this one here. This is really my favorite because you are what you eat is a cliche that we hear all the time, and chances are your kids have probably heard it too. But what they don't realize, and what you may not realize, is out of the good and bad bacteria in your small and large intestines, whatever you're feeding them, that is what your brain is going to end up craving. This is considered, your gut is considered your second brain, because the good bacteria, if it's fed properly, which means fiber, all sorts of raw fruits and vegetables, then it will literally send signals through the blood up into the brain and tell the brain, feed me more of that. However, the bad bacteria does the same thing. If you're feeding the bad bacteria a bunch of donuts and sugars and refined and processed foods, for instance, that potato chip that has a slogan, once you pop, you can't stop. That's actually scientifically based, because once you start eating those chips, then you can't stop. The bacteria will literally tell you, feed me more of that. I wanted to show you one more thing, um, because this is something that Lori referenced to. This is a assisted living here in Columbus called Kemper House of Worthington, and we were interviewed there back in December of last year. And what they found was that if you switch over to locally grown, or even better, on site, then the residents, they start coming alive more, in terms of socialization, and then a lot of our residents over there, they tend to miss what they used to be physically capable of doing, and now this is, like we said, turnkey. They can plant, they can transfer the seedlings. They actually help to put together the tower gardens, and then they take ownership of seeing it grow. And they actually use the produce in their meals from day to day. And so that has been featured on the news a couple times. And just wanted to show a couple more photos here. These are some of the tower gardens in my classroom, and I've just made a little collage to show you what that looks like. And then we do presentations to teachers, and in different facilities around the community. And that's our one of our classroom teachers, Dr. Stephen Ritz, who, again, he's brought those from the Bronx out into the rest of the world, in Dubai and etc. So the sky is the limit. We appreciate your time coming in here to take a look at what this tool is. We would love to connect with you, to show you how you can get your hands on these. And I know Troy actually has a couple ideas on how we can connect you with different resources as far as finances are concerned as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to Troy.
Thank you so much, Henry Lee, the Tower Garden local resident scientist. And just, again, just some great information to have, to share with others. As Lori and Henry both referenced, the schools, assisted living facilities. We also partner with the Boys and the Girls Clubs of America, where they can get a free tower. I have the privilege of serving 14 clubs in the Washington, D.C. area that just received their tower gardens. What a Christmas gift. And happy holidays, before I forget, happy holidays, everyone. But we're just serving the community. We want to make a difference. There's a series out there you can Google. It's called Forks Over Knives on YouTube. And they state that this generation, this next generation, may be the first generation that does not outlive their parents. Now, if you think about that, that is crazy. And that's only because of the eating habits that our kids are inheriting on our behalf. Not mine, not Lori's, not Henry's, but the parents out there who have these bad eating habits, because your kids are emulating what you do, what they see. If you're putting Doritos and donuts in the pantry, then that's what they're going to eat. So we want to make a difference. We want to show you that there is a better way, and it can be lots of fun. We have people making homemade pizzas, putting the fresh produce on the pizzas. You can make smoothies, putting the fresh produce in there. Just have the kids engage and make their own salads and take ownership of the Tower Garden. I can't stress enough, if we're going to make a difference in our health over the next, let's just say, couple of years, Dr. Jan Roberto says it hasn't changed in 20 years. So if we're going to make an impact, it has to be now. We're going into a new year, 2021, and it's the right time to make a one simple change, or two, or three, or four, however many you want to make. Just start with one, and that has to be your food lifestyle. So again, just Lori, thank you so much. Henry, thank you. Everyone for joining this event. Appreciate you, love you. And we'll see you in 2021. And again, have a happy holiday, safe, bringing the new year right, eating a salad. Okay, just do that for me. Just eat a salad on New Year's Eve, okay? But thank you again, everyone. If you guys want to unmute yourselves and say thank you to Lori and Henry, by all means, everyone unmute yourselves and let's just take it out. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
That was
Troy.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
When do you do this again?
Thank you. Awesome.
Third
When-
Thursday of each month.
Tower Garden and kids?
No. That is, Lori, do you know when that is?
I do not. We'll make sure you know.
We'll get it to you. Tower Garden for Kids.
Troy, the Tower Garden and Kids, that's done by the Hicks sisters. And
Yes.
they said that that's going to be done in summertime.
Okay.
No. I want to do.
Summer 2021.
Okay,
I'm
great. Thank
going to be coordinating a kids call, so I'll keep you posted. I'll
Okay.
Yes.
I'll pick that up. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with Teresa.